In this video, I'll talk about my ideal design process. First, I'll introduce the DID method. Then I'll talk about what it means to have an appetite for excellence and how that is an important prerequisite question for any debate about balancing quality and speed. So, what is the DID method? It stands for discovery, iteration, and delivery. It's nothing new if you've worked as a designer for a while. There are many variations of this design process out there, all mostly saying the same thing. I just came up with this one and have been using it for many years as it's been memorable for me. We can say, did we do it? Yes, we did it. It's cheesy, but it works. Now, the design process is rarely this tidy and straightforward. It's kind of more like this, but for now, I'll talk about these phases more generally. The middle phase, iteration, is mostly what people think about when they think about design. It's the heart of the design process, where we make mock-ups, try different solutions, rework things, test them out, sometimes with customers, and also just really living with the solutions ourselves. Lots of experimentation and reflection, coming up with solutions that we are really proud of. However, it's the first and last phases that can make or break the design process. These phrases are often overlooked, undervalued, and rushed through. The discovery phase is the foundation of the entire design process. It's where we ask a lot of questions, making sure we really understand the problem before jumping into solutions. Do we understand what the user is going through? Are we talking to them? Are we making them the hero of this story? This is where we set the tone for the whole process. Are we leading with empathy? It's very tempting to jump right into a solution. It's much easier to have answers than questions, after all. But as a general rule, I think we ought to sit in this discovery phase, maybe even a little bit longer than what might feel comfortable. It might just help us move easier and faster in the long run. Now let's talk about the delivery phase. If you've made anything before, you know that this can be the hardest phase. By this point, you're exhausted and ready to move on. But this is where world-class products get delivered. Shipping is the proof of creativity. This is where we must be disciplined and detail-oriented, where we are often shipping production-ready deliverables and interfacing with other teams. I learned a lot about this process and came up with the DID method while working on branding projects. I'd start the project with a lively Google Doc where the company and I would share lots of thoughts and research. Then I'd go through lots of iterations, sharing screenshots in that same Google Doc. Finally, once everyone was happy, I'd deliver a comprehensive brand guide outlining all the important details about how to use the new brand. Speaking of details, I want to end this series talking about what I think it means to have an appetite for excellence. There's always a lot of discussion around the balance of quality and speed. How do you satisfy business needs without sacrificing craft? These are crucial questions. I love these questions because they are at the crux of what it means to be a designer. And I think there's an important prerequisite question that must be answered first, because only then can you get on with the hard work of optimizing for quality. Do you have an appetite for excellence? I have found it quite rare to find folks that really have this, but these are the kinds of people I want to work with. Said another way, do you really care? Because making something extraordinary requires an extraordinary effort and attention to detail. It's not an easy or quick path. I'll share one example from my time at Folio to wrap things up. This was a resource that we worked on at Folio. Uh, One of my senior designers worked on this resource, this periodic table of elements. Um, and I'm going to show you some of the first iterations. So this was the first main iteration that he worked on. He worked really hard on this thing, and it was pretty good, but wasn't great yet. Um, there was some I thought there were some issues with the colors are a little bit hard to distinguish the states of matter. This kind of gets lost. This sort of feels sort of tucked in the corner in a weird way. Just wasn't great yet. So we went through some different iterations, tried some different border colors here, um, brought moved some elements around, started to explore some different ways to highlight the state of matter and the different metals, which actually weren't in the earlier version. Um, so this was a whole new thing that we had to add in. We had to add in this new element in addition to the states of matter and the key here. So starting to think about colors. We're getting a little bit closer here, but it's still sort of hard to distinguish. Um, we're starting to get to a good place here with the colors. Um, starting to starting to get into this distinction between metals and non-metals with the colors, and the colors were really hard. We spent a lot of time kind of getting these colors right. It's hard to use a lot of colors but distinguish them, and that this I think especially these blues and teals are tricky to work with. But he did a great job working on that. Um, started to get to this place where we're getting things a little more tidy. um the metals, the distinction here between the metals and non-metals. I've kind of going back in time, it's hard to remember all this stuff now, but um definitely, we spent a lot of time going through these iterations, and we're starting to get here. This was a little hard to read. um the text vertically. So we had to come up with a better solution there. And we started to get to this place where we were all feeling really good, and we had been iterating for a while. Um, and I think this is the final, kind of getting to the final version over here, which turned out really great. I'm not sure where the states of matter went. Maybe that wasn't. I'm sure at some point we had decided that that wasn't crucial for this resource. So I wanted to show this example with the periodic table. This was the first version that I showed, and it was fine. It was pretty good, and we could have shipped this, and it would have been fine. But it wasn't great yet. It wasn't clear yet, and I knew we could do better. So we spent a lot of time to try to make it great, and I think the end result was something that was truly great and something that we were all really proud of. And the best part of all is that teachers absolutely loved it.